Hi, hello everyone. So welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to discuss about quantum mechanics. We will discuss some important formulas and important concepts of quantum mechanics. That is basically a quick revision of quantum mechanics. So I wish happy new year to everyone. And only 1 month is left for all of your exams, like all those who are preparing for NET, GET, IIT JAM. Just we have some time more. So I hope your preparation is going good. So let's start today's video. You can already see that I have written something over here. So first, in quantum mechanics, we are discussing about photoelectric effect and Compton effect. Photoelectric effect and Compton effect. The major difference between these two is what? Photoelectric effect is for bound electron, Compton effect is for free electron. Okay. What happens in photoelectric effect? Photo means light. So when light of certain wavelength or certain frequency is incident on a metallic surface, then the electrons which are bound to the metallic surface in the last valence shell, these electrons gain energy from that light which is incident on it, and then it leaves the metallic surface. This is the whole process of the photoelectric effect. But here comes some important terms. First term is about threshold frequency, that is our mu naught. Mu naught is that minimum amount of the energy, because when energy is related to frequency, we can write E equals to h mu, correct? We can write E equals to h mu. So the minimum amount or the minimum frequency which is incident on the metallic surface, so as the electrons can gain sufficient amount of energy to leave the metallic surface. It's not that any amount of light I am giving or any amount of energy of frequency mu naught and the electrons will leave the metallic surface. So no, there must be a minimum amount. After that only electrons will leave the metallic surface. So that is called our threshold frequency. Now E we know is equals to h mu, can also be written as hc by lambda. So substituting the values of h and c, which is our constant, that is h is the Planck's constant 6.626 into 10 to the power minus 34, and c is 3 into 10 to the power 8. Substituting these values, we are getting 12400 by lambda. Lambda in question you will get, like they may say that the light of wavelength, suppose lambda is equals to 600 nanometer. Okay, so this my value is when applicable, when the energy E is in electron volt and when my wavelength lambda is in Armstrong. Okay, so then I can say E is equals to 12400 by lambda. Okay, now in case of Compton effect, this is about free electron, that is when a light of wavelength lambda is incident or an X-ray or a photon is incident on an electron E which is already free, then the electron will scatter by an angle phi and the electron will have energy which is less than the incident energy. Obviously incident energy will be greater than the scattered energy. So E can be written as hc by lambda and E dash can be written as hc by lambda dash. So after this we can conclude that lambda dash is greater than lambda. Okay, that is the scattering electron will have larger wavelength than the incident wavelength. Okay, now we will discuss some important graphs. First graph which we will discuss is about frequency and intensity I. Obviously I told that there is a threshold frequency, so the minimum amount of frequency mu naught, after which only when I am increasing the frequency then only then I can get an intensity. Below that electron will be bounded, so I will not get any intensity. And now if I draw the graph of intensity I with the current, then I can get a constant graph with the slope is constant, that is a straight line. And if I have two intensities I2 and I1, and if I2 is greater than I1, then I can see that current for I2 is more than current for I1. That is, I can conclude that current is directly proportional to the intensity. If intensity increases, current increases. If intensity decreases, current decreases. Okay, obviously this is the threshold frequency, because below which no electron will be leaving the metallic surface. Now this is what a formula which I am discussing here. This is important for your question purpose. In your MCQ some question can come that they are asking you what is the radius of the orbit Then if in question, remember one thing, in question if they have mentioned that is the angle between the velocity vector and the magnetic field B, if it is 90 degree, then and only then you can use this formula. If it's not 90 degree, if they are making any theta, we know Lorentz force is what, QV cross B, right? So if this is 90 degree, then this will be QVB. If this is not 90 degree, because sine 90 is 1, if this is not 90 degree, then we will let QVB sine of theta. Okay, so if my velocity and the magnetic field, they are making an angle theta which is not equals to 90 degree, then we will say that Lorentz force is equals to QVB sine theta. That must be equal to the centripetal force. Okay, so mv square by r, this is, we know what, centripetal force. So if we cancel out v, then we are getting r is equals to mv by qb. I will suggest you to remember this formula, that r radius equals to mv by qb. From here we can also conclude that r is proportional to v. Okay, so again we know that Einstein's photoelectric equation is what, total energy E, that is equals to the my stopping potential mu naught plus kinetic energy. Okay, so kinetic energy can be written as what, E minus of phi naught. Sorry, I said this mu naught, right? No, this is phi naught. So E minus phi naught, and E is what, H mu minus phi naught. So kinetic energy is what, half mv square, that is equals to H mu minus of phi naught. From here I can say v square is equals to what, 2 by m H mu minus phi naught, from where I can conclude v is equals to, or v is proportional to root of H mu minus of phi naught. So from here I said r is proportional to v, so I can also say that r is proportional to H mu minus phi naught. This type of questions you may expect in your exam. So be familiar with these formulas, be familiar with the proportionality terms, okay? The things which I have highlighted with yellow color, these are very, very important. Write these formulas in your copy, okay? Write these formulas in your copy. These graphs are important and these formulas are important. Now, for Compton effect, I have discussed only up to this much. Now, some further more discussion about Compton effect is what? Phi is my what? Angle of scattering. Okay. From here, the change in wavelength, that is delta lambda, equals to what? H by m naught c 1 minus cos phi. Okay, we know these are all constant term. H, m naught is the mass of the electron, c is the speed of light, h is the Planck's constant, 6.626 into 10 to the power minus 34. Substituting all these values, what will I get? H by m naught c is equals to 0.0242 Armstrong. Okay, h by m naught c is equals to 0.0242 Armstrong. Okay, so this value also you must remember. Okay, so this is also called my Compton wavelength, that is lambda. Now this formula, how we got this formula? After applying the conservation of momentum and energy in this scattering process, we got this formula, delta lambda is equals to h by m naught c 1 minus cos phi. Okay, phi is my angle of scattering. Now if there is a case of back scattering, then suppose my electron, when my X-ray is incident on the electron is back scattering, then what will be the angle phi? The angle phi will be what? 180 degree. Then I know cos phi is what? Minus of 1. Then cos phi will be minus of 1. Then delta lambda will be what? H by m naught c 1 minus of 1, that is 2 h by m naught c. This is my delta lambda, that is 2h by m naught c. Now delta lambda is what? Lambda dash minus lambda. Okay. So then I can say lambda dash minus lambda is 2h by m naught c. Fractional change in wavelength can be written as delta lambda by lambda. This is called the fractional change in wavelength. So what type of questions you may expect in your exam? Like they can say the angle of scattering and then they will tell you to find the wavelength. Okay. So you should know this constant value 0.0242 Armstrong, that may help you in calculation, because in the exam time you will substitute the values of H, m naught, c, that will take a huge lot of time, and also calculation mistakes can be there. Okay, so this is about photoelectric and Compton effect, which are important for your exam. Now next what we will discuss is about 1D box. Okay, now in 1D box there are First of all, there are two type of particle. One is free particle, second is the bound particle. And there are two type of box which we are going to discuss. One is the symmetric box and another is the asymmetric box. Okay. Now, free particle is what? In which the potential is zero or constant. Okay. And there is no force acting on the particle. That is, the particle is basically free. No force, no potential, free particle. And in this case, the dimension of the box, see, what is the motive of my today's video is that you must have a quick revision. You must know the important formulas which you must remember for your exam. Okay. Dimension of the box is much greater than dimension of the particle. Dimension of the particle. Kinetic energy can be what? It will be ranging from 0 to infinity. That means what? Velocity is ranging from 0 to infinity. For a free particle, the kinetic energy can be from 0 to infinity. And here our energy is what? Continuous. Here our energy is what? Continuous. Okay. In case of bound particle, now what happens in case of bound particle? In case of a bound particle, the dimension of box is comparable to the dimension of the particle. And here energy is not continuous, energy is what? Discrete. Energy is what? Discrete. And energy E can be written as n square pi square h cross square by 2 ml square, where L is what? The length of the box, which we will discuss here only 1D box. Okay. 1D box. 2D box, 3D box are also there. So 1D box, if I am considering as symmetric box and if I am considering symmetric box. Okay, let me tell you the terms out which I have written here. Here n is what? N is the state. Okay. First excited state, ground state, second excited state. This is n. We will substitute the corresponding values of n. I will tell you what is the value of n for ground state, for first excited state, for second excited state. Pi is a constant, 3.14 or 22 by 7. H cross is what? H by 2 pi. H cross is H by 2 pi. That is Planck's constant divided by 2 pi. M is what? The mass. And L is what? The length of the box. M is the mass of the particle. Okay. And 2 is a constant. So, for asymmetric box and symmetric box, you see, psi, that is my wave function, is written as root 2 by L sine n pi x by a. Okay. Here also same, but let me draw first. Suppose this is my asymmetric box. Okay. This is from 0 to L. Okay. I am saying it L, then let it be L everywhere. L. L, A, whatever given in the question. Here inside the box, my potential is 0. Outside it is infinity. Okay. Length of the box is what? From 0 to L. And for symmetric box, same, but my length of the box is from minus L to plus L. Okay. If this is so, then I will write the wave function psi is equals to root 2 by L sine n pi x by L. And here psi can be written as root 2 by L. L is what? Length of the box. Here the total length of the box is what? 2L. From minus L to L, so 2L. So 2 by 2L sine n pi x by, from L, instead of L we will write 2L. Now this is not always. This is not always. Here this is always this. And here no, not always. When my n is even, then I will write psi is 2 by 2L sine n pi x by 2L. When my n is odd, then I will write psi is equals to root 2 by 2L cos 2 pi x by 2L. Now you will think how to remember, right? See, n even sine, n odd cos. This way you have to remember. You must always, connect something with something so that it will help you to remember things. You may know the physics behind it, you may know the concept behind it, but at the end of the day, you have to remember things. In the exam now, you can't start from the Schrodinger wave equation and you are doing a big deduction and then you are getting the answers. This you can't do in the examination. This in the interview you can do, but in the examination you can't do. Next examination will come if you start doing these things. Okay, so in this way you have to remember. I am highlighting this. In this way you have to remember. Okay, so these are the important things. Here simultaneously, this is always here in case of asymmetry box, always you will get sign only. Okay, this thing is important. Now here E, as I said, energy E, this is what? N square pi square h cross square by 2m L square. So what will be for a symmetry box? E is equals to what? N square pi square h cross square 2m. Here the total length of the box was 2L. So it will be 2L square. Okay. The value of n is 1 for ground state. Value of n is 2 for first excited state. Value of n is 3 for second excited state, and this is valid for symmetric and asymmetric box both. Okay, see, n cannot be 0, right? If n is 0, energy is 0. Can this ever be possible that energy of a particle is 0? If energy of a particle is 0, that is not possible. This means what? The position and momentum of a particle can be determined simultaneously, but that is not possible. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, what does it say? That the particle's position and momentum, this cannot be calculated simultaneously. So energy E cannot be 0. So the minimum value of E what I can get is by putting n equals to 1. So this is my ground state energy. Okay, first excited state energy, I will put n equals to 2. So if I draw the graph of asymmetric box and symmetric box, so in case of asymmetric box, my graph is always an increasing curve. The curve which I am going to get is always an increasing curve. Now you may think what is increasing curve, what do I mean by this? This will understand when I will draw for symmetric box. For symmetric box, this is minus of L, plus of L, this is 0 to L. This is always a decreasing curve. See, the ground state will be same because ground state is same because both are having in terms of sign. Okay. Now, this is first excited state. See, this is the decreasing curve. See it is decreasing. See, this is increasing. So this is called increasing curve, and this is called decreasing curve. A symmetric box, this is called decreasing curve. Now you may wonder why I am getting this type of graph. See, substitute the values. You know the expression for energy, right? This is n is equals to 1, n is equals to 2, and n is equals to 3. I may do one for you. Now you see here, energy E, that is the wave function psi, okay? Now psi for ground state can be written as what? Root 2 by L, sine ix by L, right? For getting the maxima. What will I do? I will do beside x and I will put it into 0, and then from there I can get the values of x. Correspondingly, when I will put the values, I will get that my value is maximum at a by 2. My value is maximum at a by 2. And when I will for first excited state, when I will put that is n equals to 2, then I will see that my value is minimum for a by 2 and maximum for a by 4. And for 3a by 4, I am getting a minus term. Okay. Similarly, you can do for symmetric curve. Now, next we are going to discuss about phase velocity and group velocity. Okay, phase velocity and group. So one thing have you noticed? See, when n is my even, okay, that is my n is equals to 2, and at x equals to 0, I am getting minimum. That is size minimum. And when n is odd, that is first term is coming, then at x equals to 0, I am getting a maximum. You see, this is odd, I am getting maximum. This maximum. When n is odd, I am getting a maximum. When n is even, at x equals to 0, I am getting a minimum. Okay. So these are some of the observations I can get from this graph. Okay. So today we will stop here. Thank you so much.